WWE Raw hit the Netflix airwaves Monday night for the final go-home episode of the flagship show before WrestlePalooza takes over Indianapolis appearance before his marquee matchup against Brock Lesnar, and one last face-to-face featuring CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth freaking Rollins, and Becky Lynch headlined the broadcast. What went down? How did it affect the upcoming premium live event? And how did each match and segment rate out? Find out now with this recap of Monday Night Raw. For this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamio.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good alum F. Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of the phenom Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we will catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we hope to have him back with us Thursday night for the Week 4 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. Now, College Football Thursday has a very light docket this week. There's only going to be 16 games that we're going to be covering on that show. So I'm thinking about maybe making a small indemnity to that show on Thursday night and maybe adding the preview of WrestlePalooza to that show. So because of the fact that we have a light docket for the college football this week, only 16 games at last check. So and I do believe that is the case after the newest rankings came out. Yes, that is correct. It is 16. Yes. So that's a light docket from college football standards. So we'll let you know we'll keep you posted on that. But for right now, what we are going to do tonight for sure, we got Monday Night Raw, we got NXT Homecoming, and we will preview Thursday Night Football, a Buddy Bowl matchup, MF's Miami Dolphins versus my Buffalo Bills in Buffalo this Thursday night. So we'll get into that as well. So without any further ado, let's dive right on in. Monday Night Raw live last night from the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts. And it was John Cena who started it off. John Cena fed off the energy of his hometown crowd in Springfield, Mass. Last night, kicking off the show with a fiery promo directed at Brock Lesnar and their match Saturday night at WrestlePalooza. He admitted to fearing Lesnar, added that he could very well fail, but exclaimed that he will never back down or quit. He founded Suplex City and I'm still standing, he warned Lesnar before wrapping up his promo to the delight of the WWE Universe. Nobody does the match hyping promo like John Cena. There may be better, more consistent promos, but when it comes to putting the final bow on the build to any premium live event match, John Cena is tops in the industry. Take it all in because that, as much as anything about him, will be truly missed. So, excellent way to jump it off. So, not much more to say. MF, what a great promo here by John Cena, setting up for the big match with Brock Lesnar Saturday night at WrestlePalooza. And like I said, I mean, nobody hypes up a match like John Cena. But then again, when it comes to you on our shows, we call you the hype man because you've hyped up a lot of big matches and games here on our family of shows all these years. And John Cena did the exact same thing last night. So great way to start, MF. John Cena, another masterful hype man performance.
Yeah, masterful hype man performance, no doubt about it. When you talk about greatest of all time, when it comes to that, he is a master at work. He's a master class. There's no doubt about it. John Cena is well loved. He's well liked. There's really nothing bad to say about what he did, and it's exactly what it was. It just had to be just enough for the fans to enjoy it, just enough for us to say, wow, that was amazing. And Cena does what he does best, and that's exactly what he did. He didn't do anything crazy, didn't do anything, just hyped it up, talked about the event. That's exactly what we want from John Cena, and it was very painless. So, no, I really think he did a great job, and that was a great way to start the show. And yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it is all yours, my friend.
All right, MF, and let's get into our first match of the night, which bear with me for just a second here as I wait for this to load up here. All right. Our first match of the night, Lyra Valkyria squaring off against Roxanne Perez, a rivalry going back to their NXT days.
Mm-hmm.
And the winner of the match, 9 minutes and 10 seconds, Lyra Valkyria wins the match. But it was but the real talking point was what happened after the match was over. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez attacking Lyra Valkyria. And who shows up? She's back. Bayley. We've been waiting for weeks and weeks after these incredible vignettes they've been doing with her. Bayley finally returned last night in Springfield, clearing the way. And we didn't know what was going to happen with Lyra and Bayley because there was tension between them, for the longest time. And then Bayley goes around and hugs people. She hugged Joe Tessitore. She hugged Corey Graves. She hugged the ring announcer, Alicia Taylor. She hugged the referee, Jessica Carr, who refereed that match with Lyra and Roxanne. And then hugged some random stagehand guy and hugged a few fans in the crowd, and then ran back up the stage like a little kid on Christmas morning. So, but my goodness, not much more to say. MF, Lyra wins the match in 9-10. Bayley's back. And then when Bayley went around hugging everybody, you gave us one of the best funny heel commentator moments of the year. Oh my God. I still can't stop laughing. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So obviously I'll give this about a 3-star bout. I thought they did a fine job. The funny moment Anthony is alluding to is I channeled a moment in The Mandalorian. Now, if you ever watch Disney Plus and if you ever watch the Star Wars Mandalorian, you know where I'm going with this. This is one of those moments where Mando and Grogu or Baby Yoda was going around, and Baby Yoda they were at a merchant store, and these little creatures are these little creatures, and there was this one moment where Baby Yoda hugged one of the creatures, and he just wasn't having it, and so I literally channeled that moment by doing that no, and I started yelling no huggies, Bad Bayley, as she's walking up the rampway. Now Anthony Foyle and Michael Bullock are both having a laugh riot at that moment, and I'm like, what are you two laughing at? So that's exactly the moment that Florio is alluding to. You heard it live on commentary. You heard it, so there's really nothing for me to say. Anthony Floyd and Michael Bullock both got a kick out of it because they both accepted the Bayley hug. They both gladly took the hug from Bayley. Me, on the other hand, I wasn't too much, and I had that no joy in Mudville reaction with that one. Florio, go ahead, it's yours.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, what MF said, 100% accurate. I mean, first things first. If Bayley wanted to give me a hug, who am I to tell her no? I know. I mean, if she gave me a hug, I'd be a happy man. No doubt about that. She's a very beautiful young woman. And I've been a fan of hers, for a long time. And if she hugged me like that, the way she hugged Joe and Corey at the announce booth, I'd be a very happy man. Oh, yes, I would. Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful indeed. All right. All kidding aside now, getting back to the serious business here. 100% agree with MF's rating. It was a solid 3-star bout. And this match should have gone longer. But the chemistry between Lyra Valkyria and Roxanne Perez is so strong that the match was good despite its length. Not quite the stand and deliver match from 2024, but it accomplished what it needed to. This new Bayley character is going to be a blast. She's clearly invested in it, and as long as it does not veer too far off course, it will have a real shot at reinvigorating the role model. This new character of Bayley, where MF has gone on the record and thinks that we're going to possibly get the 3 faces of Bayley, all of the 3 faces of Foley. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't. So, yeah, solid 3 stars, and let's see where this Bayley thing keeps going to. So, all right. Moving onward, we had our next matchup, which was Penta squaring off against Kofi Kingston, and it was Penta winning the match in 7 minutes and 35 seconds. I can only give this 2.5. Too much of the match took place during the commercial break for it to really make an impact. Penta getting the win felt like a foregone conclusion before the bell rang, no matter how much backup Kofi had. The New Day as heels are a ton of fun, but from a credibility standpoint, unfortunately, they do not have much to speak of. So the best I can do is 2.5 stars. A little disappointing considering the talent involved. When you think Penta and Kofi, and you give them time to work, those guys are capable of a 3.5 to 4-star match easy. But it's a damn shame that they only got 735. They totally got pressed for time on this one. So 2.5, that's the best I can go. But MF, you think Penta and Kofi, you think instant banger. We got a mid match at best, 2.5.
Yeah, it's somewhat disappointing because you kind of feel like they kind of left us hanging on this one, and I get it. I get why a lot of people were not really happy with the match, and even I will openly admit I'm not happy with the match. I was expecting something a little more, like you guys said. So I mean, it was what it was. It was a fine match. 2.5, like I said. But I'm totally in an agreement with you. I was really hoping for this to be a bigger and better match. And yeah, they partially and unfortunately did pull the rug out from under us. But, it was fine. It's okay. We can live with it. Lario is yours.
All right. This was the big promo segment here, the big talking segment here. Ahead of their colossal mixed tag team match Saturday night at WrestlePalooza, World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins and Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch came face to face with CM Punk and AJ Lee. Punk and AJ interrupted Seth and Becky to a huge ovation and chants of AJ's husband poured from the stands as Punk took a backseat to his wife. The best in the world questioned whether the champions would set their egos aside and present a united front. Rollins told Punk that Lee is the best decision he has ever made in his entire personal life. Inserting her in the feud, though, was the worst thing he has ever done professionally. AJ said she would not be there if Rollins had not used Becky as his personal bodyguard, to which the man questioned how healthy her previously injured neck was. She said, how are you going to feel when I pummel her face in? And then AJ said, what you should be worried about is not even I know what I'm going to do next. I'm a Puerto Rican from New Jersey, Sometimes I shank a chick. To which I heard MF do
I love that quote. I loved it. I love that quote because I know it. That one hit home for me. That one hit home for me.
I heard you snickering on commentary during that moment.
Yeah.
I
I
did.
did.
Hear that little snicker.
Definitely I did. I was like, yeah. Because like I said, I think a lot of people, especially I know like I know that would have made me pop. I know my niece definitely popped at that comment. We like that was that hit home. That hit home for me.
Seth Rollins tried to plant the seeds of tension, telling AJ of her husband he has a habit of leaving when things let him down. AJ slapped Seth Rollins and his eyes bulged in disbelief. Becky refused to fight AJ, walking out on Seth and leaving the World Heavyweight Champion to flee from CM Punk. Becky re-entered the ring, delivered a manhandle slam to AJ Lee, and slapped CM Punk to wrap up the segment. So I don't know what else there is to say. MF, this segment did not disappoint. Any other week, this would have been the segment of the night, but a slight edge to Cena on this one. But that's not to say this wasn't bad at all. This was a very strong segment. I think we're looking at a booking 101 scenario.
Yeah.
There's no question. I think Punk and AJ are going to win this match on Saturday night.
And I'll even go one step further. I think AJ Lee pins Becky Lynch to create a championship committee moment as well.
Absolutely.
I do know there's some people that did complain that this segment was a tad long because unofficially and according to WWE website, this was over 20 minutes. I think they said it was like 21 minutes for the segment. So, I mean, yes, there is going to be some complaints about the length of the thing, and a lot of people will complain about that. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a fine segment for what it was worth. It served its purpose. It definitely delivered in what it needed to deliver, and that gave us a good enough sense of, okay, now we got through it. So now here we are, and we're excited and we're ready for what may come down the pipeline when it comes to the championship fight, the whole 9 yards. With this mixed tag fight, now they've given us something to really be excited about going into Saturday night. And like I said, yes, it's a booking 101 moment, and I totally agree with that. But I also agree that this was definitely worth the price of admission. So, Florio, it's yours.
The crowd is super into AJ Lee, with her having been gone for 10 years, and WWE acquiring new fans during that time. There was reason to wonder if her return would be as big a deal as so many diehard fans who remembered and appreciated her contributions made it out to be. It absolutely has been, and the reaction for the former Divas champion have not disappointed. This was a strong segment, like MF said, that may have gone on a touch too long, but the crowd ate it up. Now there is just enough tension to play with on Saturday night to keep fans emotionally invested, even if the outcome feels rather obvious. So, another very good segment on this show last night. Moving on to our next matchup, it was El Grande Americano squaring off against Dragon Lee. El Grande Americano wins the match in 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Not one El Grande Americano, not two El Grande Americanos, but three El Grande Americanos. Dragon Lee did have a little help from AJ from the phenomenal AJ Styles, but those three El Grande Americanos just proved to be too much. The third Americano delivered a hard right hand that looked oddly like a certain right hand that a certain Tyler Bate used to throw. And come to think of it, that other guy looks sort of like Pete Dunne. Just saying. The match itself was excellent. Ludwig Kaiser is against all odds better at this El Grande Americano gimmick than Chad Gable was, and that is saying something. He worked well with Dragon Lee and had the fans in Springfield living and breathing on the spots in near falls. So there isn't much more to say on that. So I'm going to give this right around 3.25, maybe 3.5. Up to that point, this was the fight of the night up to that point. So not much more to say. MF, El Grande Americano defeating Dragon Lee in 10-20 with two other Grande Americanos. Looking at you, Pete Dunne, and looking at you, Tyler Bate.
Yeah, you could definitely look at them, and no doubt about it, you can make an argument that definitely was them. No arguments on that. And yeah, it served its purpose. I thought they did a fine job with it. I thought they did a good job with the action at the end. And yeah, for El Grande Americano, that's a big win for him. And yeah, you know, the question now becomes is what's next? And I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But no, I thought they did a fine job with the site. I thought they did a fine job. Like you said, 3.5 stars. And at the moment and at the time, that was the fight of the night. So yes, I totally agree with what you just said, Aaron. It's all yours.
And then backstage, Lyra Valkyria overheard a shouting match involving Bayley, only to walk in on the role model in her locker room by herself. Now sporting a half black, half white shirt, Bayley unloaded verbally on Lyra, leaving her aghast at the irate version of Bayley that she had just encountered. So, see how that goes down. See how that plays out. All right. Moving on to our next matchup. La Primera, Stephanie Vaquer squaring off against Kairi Sane of the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka in her corner. Stephanie Vaquer wins the match in an even 12 minutes. And I believe I start this one off. It's wild to me that, of course, Kairi's previous last match on Raw was actually 2 weeks ago, September 1st. That's not too bad. Last night was Stephanie Vaquer's first match on Monday Night Raw since July 28th. July 28th. That's what, 6-7, that was like what, 6-7 weeks ago? Man, that's something. That is something. When I came across that little stat, I was like, what? 7 weeks. That's 7 weeks, friends. 7 weeks. Corey Graves put over Vaquer as one of, if not the best women's wrestlers in the world. She is clearly a priority for WWE, even if her booking or lack thereof over the last month or so has been baffling. That's why I mentioned the 7-week gap there. What looked to be a one-sided showing coming out of the break developed into a strong match that highlighted the level of worker that Kairi Sane is. Despite being presented as the sidekick or a middle woman in the ongoing saga between Io Sky and Asuka, she was excellent here, as was Vaquer, whose ascension is nothing short of remarkable. 3.5 stars. You could make an argument that this was the fight of the night here. So, not much more to say. MF, Stephanie Vaquer, La Primera, her first match on Raw in 7 weeks, which is baffling to me, but it is what it is. But I'm glad to see her back.
Yeah,
she defeats Kairi Sane in an even 12 minutes on the same night that her and Io finally put the pen to paper. Those two to battle it out for that vacant Women's World Championship Saturday night.
Yeah, and that was a fine match, to say the very least as well. I thought they did a fine job with that. You know what? You already know how much I feel about La Primera. You already know how I feel about her. You already know how much, I'm a big fan of hers. Absolutely. I hope, I personally hope that she wins the title, but Would I be mad if Kyrie that Io wins it? Absolutely not. I love Io Sky as well. So I think they've done a fine job for what it's worth. I thought they did a good job with the hype up. Yes, I was disappointed that they waited all this time to do the thing, but at the end they did fine. So it was all good. We'll see how it plays out. Happy with the outcome. Yeah, really got nothing more to say. 3 stars, Anthony. It's yours.
Before we move on, Cageside.net, they put out a great daily article every morning. It's called the Rumor Roundup, and the latest installment I read today. They dedicated one of the bullet points to the betting line odds for WrestlePalooza, and believe it or not, Stephanie Vaquer, as of right now, is currently the betting line favorite to walk out of Indianapolis as the new Women's World Champion. Keywords, betting line favorite. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And of course, when Stephanie does that maneuver, the one that got booked, the one that would always get Booker T riled up on NXT, MF did the same thing. He does the rolling gurs, and then after she finishes, he lets out a big old gur, and that's all there is to say on that. Just like Booker. So I know how happy MF was to see her last night. First match in 7 weeks. Mind-boggling. But anyways, moving on now. I believe we are at main event time here. And yes, we are. Main event of the evening. A lot of other stuff here. More in the Io and Asuka saga. They ran down the card for WrestlePalooza and Judgment Day in the clubhouse, and
yeah, that led to some drama.
Yes, especially with El Grande Americano, and then Rusev showed up. He offered Dom a handshake. Dom said his hands were full, and Rusev said, "I am the next Intercontinental Champion. Enjoy your party." Rusev and Dom, sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up.
Sign us up for that, for sure. Okay. Main event of the evening. Stop me if this sounds familiar. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed squaring off against LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed win the match in 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Of course, we have more craziness after the match, of course, because that's customary. Jey Uso shows up, and it seemingly looked like Jey Uso and LA Knight had patched up their differences. Wrong. LA Knight BFT on Jey Uso. Payback for the spear that Jey Uso gave to him a week ago. So, yeah. So, not much more to say. MF, your thoughts on the main event? Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in 12:05.
No, they did a fine match. It was definitely a very well done thing. I thought they did an incredible job. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think everybody did. And yeah, there was really nothing more to add. I thought they did a solid job with this. Was I mad that happened? Absolutely not. I thought what they did with I thought that whole thing was definitely the right thing to do. I really had nothing mad to. I'm not really bad to say anything about that. I thought they did a fine job with it. I thought they did it was exactly what it needed it to be. Exactly what it needed it to be. Nothing more to say. Solid matchup. Yeah, Anthony, it's yours. I know a lot of people was like, "Oh, why did LA Knight?" Dude, it was payback. It was absolutely what it needed it to be. They did that mistake. They did that move, and at the end, absolutely, I'm for it. So no, nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
About 3 to 3.25 for this one. The match was good, but not remarkably different than any other incarnation of the same tag team match we have seen involving several of these competitors in recent weeks. For a show that at its height delivered fresh new matchups and limited the repetitiveness, that is one area where Raw has faltered for months now. Even if Jimmy Uso and LA Knight had not teamed together before, we have seen some version of the same handful of stars in the same tag matches or singles matches for far too long. But still, it was 3 to 3.25 stars. So, not much more to say. Let's get to the overall review here. Fairly strong go-home show ahead of WrestlePalooza. John Cena, CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, The Usos, Braun Breaker, Stephanie Vaquer, and Io Sky all have high-profile matches on that show, and all were appropriately featured in this show. Both big promo segments were hits, the in-ring action was solid across the board, and the fans in Springfield were thoroughly engaged. A show that effectively creates intrigue, such as the ongoing drama between the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky, or the budding rivalry between Jey Uso and LA Knight, and drums up interest for a potentially historically significant premium live event, is always a win. So, I'm going to give this an excess of 7.5 to 8 out of 10. So, not much more to say. MF, your thoughts on this show, and then we'll get into NXT Homecoming.
Yeah, no, 7.5 out of 10. I thought they did a really good, fine show. You know what? Nothing more to say, Anthony. It was truly a homecoming back to the old stomping ground for all of us at Full Sail University. It's all yours.
For the first time in several years, WWE returned to Full Sail University, the original home of NXT. The company wanted this to feel like a big show, so we got some title matches, in addition to some returning stars and some surprises along the way. And let's take a look at everything that happened on this show here tonight. NXT Homecoming opened with a video looking back at the history of the brand. The intro to the show was also the classic song NXT first used, but with updated images of current stars. And when you think NXT, you cannot help but think about the man. And I'll be honest, I also thought about the man who was the architect, who was the brainchild of NXT. That being one Paul Triple H Levesque, Papa H. Sure enough, there he is. Triple H came out and gave a speech about how it all started at Full Sail University. He gave the fans credit for making NXT as special as it has been. And enter the man who is in charge of NXT nowadays. His longtime best friend and tag team partner of D-Generation X, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Not going to lie, MF and I, we were marking the F out because these are our guys right here.
Oh, yeah.
MF, of course, we all know MF with Triple H and me with Shawn Michaels, of course. They teased some tension with the idea of Triple H wanting to take over NXT again, which brought out William Regal. War Games. He made a quick joke before the women's tag team champions Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss made their way out for the first match of the night. Triple H likes to pat himself on the back a lot for the success of NXT, so it was not surprising that the show opened this way. The segment had a couple of funny moments, but I kind of felt it lasted a way longer than it needed to. They made a clear effort not to show anyone who might be in AEW too much in the video package. We did see brief moments with some current AEW stars, but not many. And it was kind of funny that it took this long for fans to sing entrance songs, and Shawn Michaels was caught totally off guard. And Regal coming out just to say War Games was awesome. Hilarious, yes, but also awesome. So a little longer than it needed to be, but, you know, I thought it was a fine way to start it off. And MF, I got to admit, it made my heart full to see our boys, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. You can't think of a better way to start the show, especially a show like this.
The thing is, here's the thing. Triple H was the absolute brainchild of NXT. When NXT became what it was, especially during the black and gold era, That was the one thing that was like his baby. And everybody loved NXT.
Oh yeah.
That was really the moment where WWE was really taking off. And at the time, NXT was better than Monday Night Raw,
Mm-hmm.
better than SmackDown,
Mm-hmm.
better than any program that WWE was producing. And it was really at that time was when Triple H really was hitting his stride. And even at the time, we even were saying how a lot of the NXT takeovers were even better than the WWE pay-per-views. So that was kudos to Trick. And then for Shawn Michaels to come out, it was great because still Shawn Michaels is kind of that, you know, yes, he's the father. Triple H, Shawn Michaels is, you could say, the son that's looking over. But I gotta say, NXT is in great hands with Shawn Michaels. He's done a good job. So I thought it was really cool to see them two together again. It's DX reunion. I get it. But what the case may be, we'll find out. But oh my lord, it's gonna get wild. So yeah, I already got nothing more to say. So Anthony, solid opener and solid open to the show. And how awesome is it to see Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair back in NXT? I mean, these are two of the biggest success stories, at least when it comes to the women's division. When we're talking about NXT, so Mario, it's yours.
Absolutely. So with all that, let's get into our first match of this homecoming at Full Sail University. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. The champions, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, defending against Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley of the Culling. Sean Spears, Nico Vance in their corner as always. Winners of the match in 11 minutes and 9 seconds. And still, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. MF, no big surprise here.
Yeah, it's no big surprise. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, they had to win them. They had to win this match. But give it up for the Calling for making it an enjoyable match. Two and three quarters of a star to 3 stars for me. It wasn't perfect. There was a little bit of some not so great moments, but all in all, it was still a fine show. I enjoyed it. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah. Solid 3, teetering on 3.25. You could see a clear difference in how each team worked due to their levels of experience. Alexa and Charlotte were much smoother in their offense, which made Tatum and Izzy's inexperience more obvious. It was not a bad match, but it's hard to say it was good. A lack of experience working together could be a factor, but it mostly felt like they were going through the paces. So a 3 to 3.25 star match there. Then we had a backstage moment. Zarya and Sol Ruka were arguing after their miscommunication last week. Lainey Reed and Candice LeRae showed up to gloat. Of course, we know next week Lainey Reed and Candice LeRae will battle in a number 1 contenders match, and the winner will challenge Sol Ruka for that women's speed championship at No Mercy. And then this is when the surprises started to really take shape here. Shayna Baszler scared away Candice LeRae and Lainey Reed and told Sol Ruka and Zarya to make up. Well, that's the first surprise. And then we had the tag. This was the big tag team matchup. For one night only, the reuniting of the Trick Mello gang. Trick Williams, the TNA heavyweight champion, and Carmelo Hayes squaring off against two of the mainstays of NXT of the black and gold era. DIY, Tommaso Ciampa coming out to his old NXT theme, as did Johnny Gargano. And the winners of the match in 10 minutes and 39 seconds, the Trick Mello gang, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. This was a fun, fast-paced match with a lot of great moments. All four guys looked great, but Gargano and Carmelo Hayes were definitely the standouts. The Miz showed up and attacked Johnny Gargano, helping Trick Mello Gang steal the win. Even with the dirty ending, this was a really entertaining match. This is easily like 3.25 to 3.5 stars. And it's still kind of wild to see the TNA championship in a WWE ring. Nobody would have thought that was possible a few years ago. Bringing back the old music for DIY was great, but it was also a reminder of how much better it was than their current theme. And I would like to see a series of matches with Carmelo Hayes and Johnny Gargano. They work so well together. And the match illustrated how Gargano and Ciampa are rarely given the opportunity to show out on the main roster. And a nice callback from DIY to FTR/The Revival when they hit the Shatter Machine. We'll never forget those legendary classic matches that DIY and the Revival had for those NXT Tag Team Championships, especially the match in Toronto. One of the greatest. You could maybe say that might have been the greatest Tag Team Championship match in NXT history right there. But it is what it is. So, 3.25, 3.5. Not much more to say. MF. Trick Mello Gang wins the match in 10:39. The Miz, the deciding factor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Three stars, 3.5, you can say. Solid matchup, good wrestling all the way through. The outcome was, I'm not gonna say wasn't in doubt. The Miz definitely was a factor in the match. I wish he didn't get involved, but I get it. It does serve the purpose on the storyline. But to see Trick Mello Gang do what they got to do, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was exactly what we were hoping for. But DIY is amazing too. So I know a few of my buddies on Discord were kind of in tears hearing the original theme of Tommaso Ciampa, the "No One Will Survive," and then to hear Rebel Heart. It's a little bit. We make a little funny ha ha because one of our buddies, who's from Belgium, he's like he loves his I guess you could say Japanese anime. We call he's like a weeb. So we instead of calling that Rebel Heart, we always used to say that Weeble Heart. Like I said, a nod to our buddy from Belgium, and it was absolutely perfect. It was absolutely perfect. We loved it. I think my boys in Discord actually had a little more excitement when Tommaso Ciampa's and Johnny Gargano's theme hit than anything else. So I got a good chuckle out of that. I'll say that. I got a good chuckle out of it. So yes, it was awesome. Florio, it's yours.
Yes. I know you definitely had a moment with, especially with Ciampa's team, because you're more of the Ciampa to my Gargano. So,
Yeah.
The Sicilian psychopath. Yes, absolutely. So, great matchup here. All right.
And I've been known to, and I'll openly admit, I've been known to kind of have a moment of doing the clap, doing the clapping, and then pat myself on the back like that too. I've done that before.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, here comes one of your favorites, MF. The beautiful Kelly Kincaid interviewing the United States Heavyweight Champion Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, another one of the big surprise. Not really a surprise. He was announced beforehand. So, of course, we all know Sami, former NXT champion. We'll never forget that match with Neville/Pac, whatever you want to call him, NXT our arrival in 2014. One of the greatest matches in NXT history, no doubt about it. When Sami won the title, 5-star classic. Go out of your way to see if you haven't. Sami backstage, he was hyped to be back in NXT, and he actually praised. He had some praise for Javon Evans, but then that brought Josh Briggs in, and Josh Briggs berated Sammy and went off on Javon Evans, and then Javon Evans attacked Josh Briggs, and then Sammy, gave advice to Javon Evans. So, hey, if you're Javon Evans and you're getting an endorsement from Sami Zayn, you've done something right, kid. You have.
Absolutely.
All right. NXT North American Championship on the line. The champion, All Ego Ethan Page, against another former mainstay of NXT, Tyler Breeze. What championship does El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. hold, MF? Which one of those titles does he hold?
AAA Latin American title.
That's what I thought. I asked because he was in the crowd tonight. You saw him. He was there. And Ethan and Wagner are on a collision course, no doubt about it. Ethan Page, Tyler Breeze, North American Championship on the line. Winner of the match, 10 minutes and 38 seconds. And still, the NXT North American Champion, it was All Ego Ethan Page. Do I lead or do you lead, MF?
It's on you.
That's me. Okay. Another 3 1/4, 3.5. I'll tell you what. The first half was all Ethan Page, but the second half was much more competitive and saw both men come close to winning a few times. Tyler Breeze put up a good fight, but Ethan Page ended up hitting the twisted grin while his opponent was hanging from the top rope to get the win. Dr. Wagner Jr. was shown in the crowd taunting Ethan Page. Tyler Breeze has not wrestled much over the last few years, but you wouldn't know it from this match. I thought he looked great. And hearing his old theme music brought back so many memories, especially with him and Fandango when they were Breezango. And he's one of those guys who always felt like he was capable of more than WWE gave him. One of the best wrestlers to never win a singles championship. He had a tag team championship, but he never won a singles title. He almost did tonight. But to be honest, the outcome was never in doubt. I had a feeling Ethan Page was going to retain the title, and he sure did. So 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5 yet again. So MF, another no big surprise, but Ethan Page and El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., the Latin American champion of AAA, they're definitely on a collision course down the road.
We don't know when it's going to happen, though. We don't know if that's going to be in the future AAA event. We don't know if that's going to be in a future NXT. All we know is that it's going to come down at some point. We just don't know when. From what I know, there isn't any more AAA events that I know of coming up that has big implications. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. Nothing more to say. Anthony, this was about a 3-star bout. It's yours.
All right. And then Tavion Heights was sulking backstage, and he was approached by Damian Priest, the Archer of Infamy. He talked about how he was coming from behind and ultimately became North American champion in NXT, even having a hot tub celebration. We all remember that. Yep. And Damian Priest said he talked to General Manager Ava, and he got Tavion Heights a North American Championship match against Ethan Page at No Mercy. How about that for stroke, huh? Guess he's got stroke. Wow. Tavion Heights. Man, oh man. Like with Javon Evans with Sami Zayn, if you've done enough to get someone who's not even in NXT anymore, to get him to put in a word for you and go to bat for you and get you a title match, oh man, he must be doing something right. Man alive, that's awesome. Good for him. We'll talk about that next week. The Grayson Waller effect was up next, and his guests. It was Grayson Waller in the ring when we returned from break for a special edition of the Grayson Waller effect. with his guest NXT champion Obafemi and his challenger at No Mercy, Ricky Saints. Waller did his usual routine of stirring the pot and trying to create controversy. Oba said he doesn't think Ricky Saints is special and has been underwhelming since arriving in NXT. Saints said Oba has been pampered since being recruited right out of college and is nothing without the NXT championship. Enter TNA heavyweight champion Trick Williams. He said the NXT championship still belongs to him. And Grayson Waller suggested a title versus title match between the two men for next week, with the winner defending against Ricky Saints at No Mercy. It was kind of a bland segment that only got interesting at the end with the prospect of a double champion next week. Whoa. Okay. Like I said, kind of a bland segment, standard segment, until they brought the TNA title and the NXT title, and so we'll see what happens. So I don't know what else there is to say. MF, like I said, bland standard segment, but it is official. But it is official. Next week on NXT, Obafemi, Trick Williams, NXT and TNA championships. Title champion versus champion. Title for title.
The only scary thing is I don't think it's gonna end. I don't think it's gonna. I think we're gonna get a screwy finish. I don't think we're gonna have an undisputed. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a good match. I just don't think it. I just don't think we're gonna get that kind of an outcome. So we'll see. But yeah, this was solid for what it was worth. I like like you said, it was bland, but the illusion of the title for title is gonna be awesome. But unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get it. I don't think any other time in the past we always would have had the champion versus champion title for title thing. This time around, I don't think we're going to get the outcome that we're hoping for. I don't believe it's going to be a double champion. I think we're just going to I just don't believe we're going to get a double champion. I think there's going to be somebody that's going to stick their nose where it doesn't belong, or somebody's going to ruin the ending of this match. I do believe this is one of the rare times where we talk about maybe a title, a double champion. I don't think we're getting it here.
I'll throw in my 2 cents here. Obafemi winning both titles would be a huge deal, but I wouldn't pull the trigger because I think Trick has done a great job as the crossover champion. So do the screwy finish, and I'll even take it one further. I think Oba should drop the title to Ricky Saints and have Ricky Saints as the fresh new NXT champion. That's just how I would do it, but we'll see. And then another backstage segment, Charlie Dempsey, he told Ren Sinclair that he's going to be in Japan for a month. And then enter the glorious one, Bobby Roode, former NXT champion, now agent/producer for WWE nowadays. It was absolutely glorious. And you think it couldn't get any more glorious? Say his name, and he appears. Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry showed up, and Bobby Roode told Joe Hendry, as a former TNA champion, I'm proud of you as a former TNA champ. But he's rooting for Joe Hendry to be a future NXT champion down the line. Something to keep an eye on there, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But Bobby Roode and Joe Hendry, wow. That's awesome. And then we had another promo segment here. Lexis King Lexis King came out, gave a promo about how overrated the black and gold era of NXT was. He insulted Miles Bourne and was informed that next week, Miles Bourne versus Lexis King in a lights out match. And then the lights literally go out. And who showed up? None other than one of the greatest NXT champions of all time. Maybe the greatest NXT champion of all time. Finn. He came out to his old theme, his NXT theme that he carried over to WWE. And we got to do the yo with the fans there. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was classic.
The only thing that would have put that over the top is if he came out as the Demon.
Yeah.
If he came out as the Demon, ball game. But nonetheless, whether he's the Demon or the regular Finn Balor, it didn't matter. Great to see him and getting to hear that old entrance theme. I wasn't sure if we'd ever hear that entrance theme again, considering his loyalty to the Judgment Day and him being the leader of the pack, if you will. And it was great to see that, and the fans, oh boy, were they happy to see him. Man, awesome moment, and a nice little moment with him and Miles Bourne. So, all right, and then Kelly Kincaid talked about Dark State, and then we had Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair was in the crowd and getting ready for our main event of the evening, 6-woman tag team matchup. It was originally scheduled to be the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton teaming with Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley. Unfortunately, Tiffany, obviously, of course, a little banged up from that very good match she had with Jade Cargill last Friday night on SmackDown, which was way better than their SummerSlam match was. So taking her place, former NXT Women's Champion in her own right, Lyra Valkyria. So it was Lyra Valkyria, Stephanie Vaquer, and Rhea Bloody Ripley squaring off against all 3 members of Fatal Influence, the NXT Women's Champion Jacy Jayne, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. And the winners of the match in 10 minutes and 26 seconds, it was the babyface team, Lyra Valkyria, Stephanie Vaquer, and Rhea Ripley. This match had a lot of energy and some entertaining double and triple team moments. It seemed a little disorganized in places, but that tends to happen in most matches with 6 or more competitors. With a little help from the number 1 contender, Lola Vice, Rhea Ripley was able to score the win for her team with the Riptide. It was kind of weird to see DIY and Finn Balor acting like babyfaces when they are heels on the main roster. And then Bianca Belair was shown in the crowd moments after Montez Ford, her husband, had a segment with Dark State backstage. And Fallon Henley and Jacy Jayne have both grown into good performers, and Jasmine Nix is on her way, but still has a bit of work to do, if I'm being honest. But this is another 3 to 3 1/4 star match. Another match where the outcome was never in doubt. The babyface team getting the win. Lola Vice sticking it to Jacy Jayne ahead of their women's title match at No Mercy on the 27th. So, and then the show closed with Oba Femi and Trick Williams in Ava's office. Mr. Regal was there as well, former general manager. And man, what a night there. So 3 to 3 1/4. So MF, your thoughts on the main event to cap off this homecoming show?
Yeah, no, this was fine. This was a really good, closed show. And yes, Booker T got his ultimate dream. He didn't get one. He got the Devil's Kiss in stereo. Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley both doing it. Definitely had us doing the or the aye, what our good friend Pat McAfee was doing. But at the end, we all were kind of like trying to hose each other down because we all were feeling pretty muy caliente, as they would say, over that moment. But it was a fine match. It was a fine ending. And yes, I did enjoy it. This was about a 3-star bout. Nothing more to say. And yeah, Anthony, great way to close the show. So it's all yours.
And what were your overall thoughts on this homecoming show tonight?
I thought they did a good job. I thought it was a solid close to the show. I think they really did a good job with it. Could it have been better? Yeah, in a way, yes, possibly, but I thought they did a fine job with it. So yeah, I thought it was exactly what it needed it to be. So yeah, I give this about another 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Really, nothing more to add. So Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, the homecoming episode of NXT had plenty of callbacks to the past, but there were a lot of important people missing due to being signed to AEW and unable to appear. It was not surprising that the show opened with a promo from Triple H, but it lasted longer than most of the matches we got on the show. Having Tyler Breeze return for a title bout against Ethan Page was one of the bigger highlights of the night, especially since he hasn't lost a step. All of the matches on this show tonight were decent, but I thought the tag match with DIY against the Trick Mellow Gang was the best thing on the entire show. Gargano and Ciampa are two of the most important figures in NXT history, so having them put over two younger guys was the right call. All in all, it was a slightly above average episode of NXT. The cameos felt well placed and did not overtake the show. Solid 7.5, teetering on 8 for me once again. So not much more to say on that. I feel that since we have a light docket in the college football this Thursday, I think we should add the WrestlePalooza to that and give us a couple more days to think about it.
Fair enough.
Is that cool with you?
I'm good with that.
All right. Very good. So with that being said, we do have one other order of business, and that is, of course, Thursday Night Football to kick off week 3 of the NFL season. It goes down this Thursday night, of course, on Amazon Prime Video. And we have ourselves an AFC East division matchup. And we got ourselves another Buddy Bowl here, ladies and gentlemen. We got another Buddy Bowl coming up. As it will be MF's team, the Miami Dolphins, squaring off against my team, the Buffalo Bills, Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Of course, we already know who's working the game, as always, for Amazon Prime Video on Thursday night. That, of course, being the legendary Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, and Kaylee Hartung. They will be in Orchard Park. They'll be in Buffalo for the game on Thursday night. And when I saw this spread, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I kind of feel this spread is a bit disrespectful, if I'm being honest, considering who we're playing here. But it's not my call, it's theirs. But it pains me to say this, but the Buffalo Bills are opening up as the biggest favorites of the week. They're opening up this game here. Buffalo is opening up as a 12.5-point favorite. Yeah, you heard me right. 12.5. The spread in favor of the Buffalo Bills. And of course, we know the series history. Last year, Buffalo sweeping both meetings with the Miami Dolphins one season ago. The game in Buffalo, though, ended up being a lot more competitive than people thought. And it took a 60-yard field goal by Tyler Bass in the final seconds of the game in Buffalo last year to tilt the scales in the favor of the Buffalo Bills. So, all right. I do have I am having some small issues with my series history here. My go-to source for that. But what I do know is that Buffalo won both meetings. They met on a Thursday night last year, you remember. They met in Miami, and Buffalo absolutely smashed the Miami Dolphins 31-7. In that, I think it was like 31-7, 31-10, somewhere in that neighborhood. In that game on that Thursday night last year in Miami. So I do apologize for the technical glitch here, but not a problem. I do have another reliable source for the series history between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Including now they've met in the playoffs 3 times. And I mean, if you don't count playoffs, Miami leads the all-time series overall 62-60 with a tie. And we got it now? Okay, great. I do apologize for that long delay. All right. We're talking regular season series now. Miami actually does lead it 61-56 with a tie. However, the Buffalo Bills have won 6 consecutive meetings with the Miami Dolphins, including the playoffs. Last year, Buffalo won in Buffalo by a score of 30-27. The Thursday night game in Miami was 31-10, by the way. The Miami Dolphins have not won in Buffalo since 2016, a 34-31 overtime win. And it's been all Buffalo in Buffalo ever since 2017. So that's the story there. So now let's dive right on into our preview of this game. And by the way, I believe we have this as our number 4 game of the week here. So here we go. The Miami Dolphins are trying their best to get their offense back on track with Tua Tagovailoa, with big plays to their speedy trio of Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, and Jalen Waddle. But that's one half of getting off the mat. The other is playing any kind of competent offense, which will not happen against Josh Allen and James Cook on the road in a short week. The Bills are on Thursday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. And, well, Mike McDaniel's hot seat. Mike McDaniel's hot seat will be a topic of conversation here, as well as Chris Grier. But the issue at Buffalo will be generating a running game. Miami ranks 29th with 69.5 rushing yards a game, and that comes with a turnover ratio of -4. That's not a recipe for success against Buffalo, which averages 35.5 points a game. And the Bills have won the last 4 regular season meetings by an average of 14.8 points a game. I'm sorry, MF. I hate to do it to you. You know how much I love and respect you. You know that and appreciate you. But it's going to be Buffalo, I'm afraid. I got Buffalo winning this game. I think Miami could give them some fits early, but I think as the game progresses, I think Buffalo ultimately flexes the muscle and keeps it going. So give me Buffalo to win 34-17. That's my final 34-17. Buffalo over Miami keeps this hot start going. So not much more to say. MF, a tale of 2 weeks. Week 1 against Indy, your boys fell flat on their face. But man, oh man, this past Sunday, myself, Michael Bullock, and our dear friend Brian Keenan, we got together. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings to see the game, and it had us on the edge of our seats. Your boys played a hell of a lot better in week number 2. But it was ultimately New England who came away with the win. Devon Achane stepping out of bounds when we thought he had a touchdown there. But and that ended up ultimately costing you boys. So, oh, MF, it doesn't get any easier. Now you got to go to Buffalo on a short week. Oh, damn, man.
Yeah, no, and I think, and I hate to say this, but if you've been listening to the Miami Dolphins, like the feeds and all of the Dolphins thing, they don't have much hope for this team. I mean, that game was a make or break, and now, yeah, no, I'm sorry. This was there's really not much for us to say here. This was exactly what you say. I think Buffalo is going to win this one and win this one going away. I think this is going to be an easy victory for Buffalo because even the Dolphin fans have already resigned themselves. They're already throwing in the towel. 2 weeks in, they've already thrown in the towel. They know that this team's not good. They feel like this team's not good. There's just a lot of stuff going on that I feel the same way. So I think Buffalo will win, and they'll win this one pretty easily. So nothing more to say. Floyo, what's yours?
And time permitting, I do have. I think I have an idea on how I want to do our cruise for the upcoming week. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. Time permitting, of course. So, all right. So with that being said, that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. We'll be back with you again on Thursday night for the Week 4 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. Very light docket, like I said. Only 16 games involving top 25 teams. We usually go through those pretty quickly, with the exception of bigger games, of course. We go into a little detail there. But after that, once we get through the college football portion, we will do our preview of WWE WrestlePalooza. And then Friday night, we have the Week 3 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We'll recap the Dolphin-Bill game, and we'll get into the remaining games of week number 3. And then Saturday night, MF will have it. Braves Fan 95. We got a big Cerebral Smack Talk coming. We got TNA Impact. We got Friday Night SmackDown, and we have WrestlePalooza. We'll give you our recap of that. And then 1 week from tonight, we come right back here for Ridiculously Raw, and we got Raw, we got NXT, and we will preview next week's Thursday night football game, an NFC West divisional matchup featuring the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. That could be an interesting matchup right there. So that's it. So until Thursday night for the Week 4 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday, where we'll also preview WrestlePalooza. This is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the Phenom Michael Bullock, and of course, always and forever, our First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a Fortune 4 style. But for now, my friends, God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Thursday night for College Football Thursday, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.